Woe to you, O earth and sea, for the devil sends the beast with wrath, because he knows the time is short. Let him who hath understanding reckon the number of the beast, for it is a human number. Its number is 666.
I left alone. My mind was blank. I needed time to think, to get the memories from my mind. What did I see? Can I believe that what I saw that night was real and not just fantasy? Just what I saw in my old dreams were the reflections of my Walkman staring back at me. 'Cause in my dreams, it's always there, the evil face that twists my mind and brings me to despair.
Hail, and welcome to the HomeBhoys Live podcast here. Monday, the 18th of August at 7:30. Welcome back. As usual, well, actually, I'll start off from the doom and gloom of last week. We had people telling us that we were making them, depressed last week and fairly down because there's a lot of doom and gloom on the show. But Jesus, what a difference a week makes, right? A week is a long, long time in football, and here we are, looking pretty good. We're feeling pretty good. So we're going to get down to business, and we're going to talk about what's been going on in the world of Celtic, and plenty going on. Lots of rumours, lots of news, lots of goals, obviously, which is fantastic, and lots of get it right up, you leisure, which is what we're all about here. So this week we are without Jason Higgins. He's recovering from a hypothermia.
He's away for a curry. Don't know about
that. He ditched the show for a curry.
What? That's shocking. He's away for a curry.
That is ridiculous. So he's not here with us, but we have a stand-in. We have the one and only. Should we call you Chuck or should we go by your...
Oh, no, it's fine. It's Marty here. How you doing, boys?
At the box, Marty Flynn from Temporary Stand.
Evening, gentlemen.
How you doing, Martin?
I'm all right. I've already been warned by Paul that I need to speak more slowly for this stint, so apologies for anybody who can't cut through my very thick Belfast accent.
Every couple of sentences, you just say to yourself, "How now, brown cow?"
I'm not sure that will be
the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. That's another popular one. So, Marty, I think things are good in Belfast.
Things are quiet, mate. Yes, absolutely. Yes. And we miss you, as always.
Absolutely. I was meant to go up for the festival, but they weren't paying enough, so...
You know that feeling.
They didn't want the lyrical demon this year, sadly.
It's good to be on these boys. As you know, the Temporary Stand has had to take a bit of a break, so it's great to get invited on. Thanks very much for having us.
You're immediately being criticised in the chat room here, Marty, by Scott McCorry, which is no surprise, let's be honest.
Oh, it's no surprise. He gave me a list of stuff I had to say tonight, but I've lost it.
That's good, because it's pointless anyway. It's come from him. Oh! Right, anyway, as usual, we're joined by the Queen and White Rider. The Queen and White Rider? Oh, my fucking Jonathan Ross. Paul Larkin.
Paul? Good evening, Joe.
How you doing, Paul? How's things?
Fairly middling, Joe.
Is life a bit more calm now after the sort of rap on Asterisk years, or is it kind of like, are you into a brand new stage now of worry and promotion?
No, the worry is gone. In the sense, the only real worry was getting a good product, that people would like. Promotion is doing really well, and but the abuse never ends, so that just kind of goes with the pass for the coast. But yeah, I'm in a much better place with it now because it's in good hands now, and there will actually, Joe, I'll just announce this live on air for you especially. There's going to be one more trailer, and it's going to feature for the first time the song that you wrote and performed for the film. Fantastic.
Actually, nobody's even heard about that. We haven't even spoke about that on here.
Yep, exactly. So, and I can tell people now, and I'm not just saying this to both spoke up your ass, I was blown away by the song, and I know that everybody else will, because like me, the producer and the editor heard the song, and I told them what I'd told you about the song that I was wanting you to base it on, be inspired by, etc. And when it started, they were just like, how's this anything like that? And then bang, it kicked into gear, and they're like, all right, aye. So that was brilliant, and so that'll be released around about the start of October.
Happy days, looking forward to seeing that, and I can't wait for everybody to hear the song as well, I suppose, you know what I mean, because we were going back and forth for a while, talking about it, and it's one of those things, like, I'm worried, and you're worried, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, the first two trailers were, the first one was done to establish the word asterisk and the meaning behind that. The second one was done to sort of establish the Edinburgh establishment, and sort of the darkness of that, and the next trailer's to be a bit more upbeat, hence your song going over it.
Fantastic, can't wait for that. That's excellent. I'm glad everything's moving forward. It's amazing when you hand it over to somebody that knows what they're doing, especially like with film. I'm not a film person, but I have worked in film projects. But when you hand it over to somebody who knows what they're doing, and they know all the technicalities, and it comes back to you, and you're like, oh fuck, this is way better than I thought it was going to be.
Well, they have trained eyes and that, don't they? So they'll say, what do you think of that? And I say, that's fine. They say, no. And they make about 1 million changes to it, and it's like, it makes it look so much better.
It's amazing, because recently I had the same experience, because my brother-in-law was working on a music video for a band in America, and he asked me to get some shots of Belfast through a friend. We literally just sat in my car and drove around Belfast, all shaky shots, but we gave it to him, and it came back as a mixed video with the song, and I was like, fuck.
I mean, even small things, Joe, you know yourself recording sound. You had to record the sound on 3 different mediums.
Aye.
Just so that there's, backups there and you can cut away from voiceover, cut away from clips to camera, so on. I mean, it's a long, arduous process, but glad to have it done and glad to have it in their hands, The people, I mean, obviously I've not been mentioning the names of the people, I will once it's done, but I mean, they're on IMDb and things like that, and people will see the back catalogue of their work, and so I'm perfectly happy with that. Aye.
Excellent. And last but not least, the Reverend David Harper. What the fuck? Out there.
I'm writing a song for the blooper reel.
You're writing a song?
for the blooper reel, for the movie.
I tell you what, that was struggling to get into the intro of Barney, let's be honest.
I nearly passed through trying to blow that harmonica.
I know, it was like deliverance here, man.
Right, how's things, Harper?
It's the usual, man, sitting here with a beer. Same old.
Well, that's the reason we do this show, really, isn't it?
I just enjoyed another ice bucket challenge there. Tammy used to work with us, had no to soak her or film her, so she came up to us. I just gave her a few buckets of water over the head there.
Let me just go over that there again. A young lady called to your house and you soaked her with water.
Yes.
Was there money changing hands or something here?
No. It's just the kind of attraction I've got, man.
I did
sounds like my kind of Monday.
So anyway, I did mine this evening, and my wife is she's no Spielberg when it comes to the camera. I got seasick and watched it back, and it was a fight with my kids over who was going to ace me first. So it's a kind of love I get. So anyway, enough of that bollocks. Let's get down to talk about football. So Johnson last week, 3-0. Now, my personal opinion, I wasn't very impressed with the game. Result, yes. But the performance, I was like, iffy, right? But maybe that's just me. Maybe I was just kind of still on a bit of a downer from our show, probably. Let's go over to you, Paul. Actually, no, let's go over to Marty. Marty's the newbie. We'll give Marty first dibs on his opinion on this.
That's awful kind. I suppose as the game wore on, I thought we were a bit stronger. We definitely were out of sorts in the first half, but gradually we took control of the game. A wee bit of fortune and a wee bit of hard work applied. And, I wasn't, after the Legia games, it was sort of, I suppose I was prepared for the worst. But by the end of the game, I was sort of going, well, it wasn't that bad really. And a wee bit fortunate with the penalties and things like that. But the one for Borica, to me, was definitely a penalty. He was definitely, there was definitely contact. But what way went down means nothing to me. It was the fact that he was fouled. Before that, they had a penalty claim, which I felt wasn't a penalty either, and there was actually a foul on Izagiri beforehand. So if the old adage of these things even themselves out and all that comes into play, I thought we were good for the win, and it was a nice boost given the events of the weeks before.
But Richter, I do think it was contact, minimal contact, but I do think he made it absolute. I mean, he went and made a turkey dinner out of it, like.
Well, I think he just sort of stopped. He didn't dive, he didn't jump. You heard the reaction to the studio pundits afterwards. Only the dogs could hear them.
You mean,
to me,
Neil McCann? You mean?
Jesus Christ! He was so angry he was nearly going to pay back his EBT. It was magnificent stuff to watch, and he had it covered from every angle. Trying to break it down, and you could nearly hear the embarrassment in the studio for him.
He was overly incensed.
And 3 days later, the letter comes in from the SFA offering Borica the 2-game ban, which I think he has been given now.
He's accepted it. So, they offered it to him. How the fuck do you offer somebody a 2-game ban? How does that work?
Well, that's the way it goes now. The new system is they tell you what they're going to give you, and if you don't accept it, you have. There's a chance that the ban will be increased or extended. So, It's sort of a warning from the compliance officer. There's a new guy, Vincent Lunny, has gone, I think, and there's a new compliance officer. But to me, it was a penalty. If there's contact in the box, it doesn't matter what way a player goes down. If you can see that the contact happening, if the referee can see it, give the penalty. But as I say, second half, I thought we were much improved over the first half, and I thought St Johnstone gave us a game.
Can I just say the thing about Victor, right? And Neil McCann kept saying this, right, and it really was pissing me off. He kept saying, if he goes down at the initial contact, it's a penalty, right? But instead, he's kind of took half a he didn't even take a full step, he took half a step. Now, To my mind, right, there's nothing wrong with Borugter seeing if he's still got a chance.
Exactly.
For a goal scoring opportunity. If he then notices that the ball's got away from him slightly or whatever, he's under entitlement to go down, because without that contact, he's having a clear shot and goal. So he's every right to take that kind of half a second or whatever it was, not even half a second to go down. The problem is he's made it. The dying swan routine makes it look bad.
Aye.
So I mean, I agree with that, but for me it was a penalty, and I'm 100% with Marty. I don't think the one at the other end was a penalty. And I mean, I'm not just saying that through green tinted glasses. We would be brutally honest here. There's nothing to gain it saying it wasn't, wasn't it? I don't think it was a penalty for St Johnstone, and I do think it was a penalty for Celtic. Neil McCann made made a complete fool of himself.
He did,
he did. And the thing is too, Harper, it's the fact there's contact. If there's contact, there's contact. If it's enough to carry you down, it's enough to carry you down. You're quite right. If you're going to stand up and it happened to somebody last year, I can't remember who. The contact went in, they tried to stay on their feet and didn't get the penalty. This one was aggravated by the red card. The fact that you knew that St Johnstone were going to appeal that red card, and therefore it was important for them to make a big noise about the Celtic players' actions, as if nothing had happened. But I haven't heard any word if they were able to get the card rescinded.
I suppose you can look at it in the kind of way, like if somebody gets fouled in the middle of the pitch, right, and like, he sees an advantage and he keeps going, but he doesn't get there. The game's called back for a free kick. So
exactly.
So does the same thing apply to a penalty? In that case, probably. But I still think he made a meal of it. But listen, I'd take it every day. See if he grows wings and javelins into the ground like an eagle. That's fine. I don't give a bollocks as long as he gets a penalty. So, Paul, yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't much of a game, was it? I mean, I thought St Johnstone were really poor, really, really poor. I mean, we sort of first half just never really got going at all, and then kind of got into the second half, and we got the goal. You seen the confidence just surge, and then of course we go on and win 3-0. I mean, it was a minimal contact. There was contact. I mean, he did dive after. There's no doubt about that, and he's accepted the 2-game ban. And I don't think anybody will be even noticed that he has taken it. Quite frankly, but. Yeah, I mean, it was good to get a win, because I think this is partly what fueled Neil McCann's kind of outrage, was that the nights were out for Celtic last Wednesday. The nights were out for Ronny Deila, and they were being sharpened as they spoke, basically, until of course the first goal goes in, then the second goal kills it, and suddenly there's no story for them. And I think that's what fueled Neil McCann's outrage. You know what I mean? Because suddenly we won 3-0. And I think the context there was the fact that because we'd lost so heavily to Legia, everybody was looking for a really good victory and a really good performance. We got a good victory, we didn't get so much a good performance. But if you'd said 2 weeks before Legia, listen, you won the first 3 games 3-0 at McDermott Park, you'd have snapped your handle for it.
Yeah.
So, a win's a win. And of course, it was our second 3-0 win in a row.
Yeah. Now I get it. So I mean, it wasn't much.
So I was talking to you through the game. I think you were quite disappointed in the performance. I said to you, baby steps. The most important thing was getting a win, as Paul said, in that game coming off the defeats. It's first game of the season, live on Sky Sports 5, the new flagship channel, or whatever. Everybody's watching. There's no other football on, so everybody's watching Celtic. Loads of people want to see us fail again. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of bad blood coming towards Celtic or this Legia stuff. So I was delighted to get the win. The performance wasn't great. It was still very pedestrian. But I'll tell you, and he carried on to Saturday's game, which will come to obviously, but I thought Berget made a bit of a difference when he came on. He had a few nice wee flicks and touches. And I was quite impressed with him. And I was impressed with Johansson again. Like, Neil McCann kept going on about this, that, and the other, but he was doing loads and loads and loads of running. Do you know what I mean? He is maybe a wee bit shot shy. I don't know. I thought Johansson was good. McGregor was good again. I don't know, man. It was something to build on, and then obviously that takes it on to Saturday. Which I think the players take the confidence for that. Like,
that's the thing. I mean, I wasn't saying I was upset or didn't like the performance. I was just kind of going. I mean, it looked as if they were in the middle of a learning curve. You know what I mean? there was an uncertainty about certain aspects of the play, right? But then comes Saturday, right? And I was like, this is going to another level. Now, it wasn't sexy football by any means, but relentless attacking. You know what I mean? Brigette again had a good game. His running back and coming in the midfield and winning the ball and getting involved is something that I'm really happy to see.
Well, see, just on that, Joe, in terms of the push, 2 games in a row we had almost exactly the same types of goals. The first was from Commons and the second was from Johansson, breaking from the middle and dispossessing an opposition player around the box. So that says to me, somebody has pulled somebody aside and said, watch for this. This is what you can do, and you can get quick goals on it. So you had Commons dispossessing the guy from St Johnson, passing to Stokes, and it went. And then you had Johansson, I think, on Saturday. So that's a smart move. You know, it's like we'll probably talk about Deila's system at some stage in general, but that to me, when I saw that happening on Saturday, I went, oh, hold on.
See, you mentioned that, Martin. That's important because see when you watch that Johansson goal again, he comes in the frame sort of as Payton gets the ball, so he was running towards him anyway.
Yeah, he was easily maybe 12 yards away from him when he started his run. So he telegraphed that ball. It was very, very good. So
that really impressed me. But I mean, overall, Saturday, your man Denier scoring the first goal. At first, I was like, 5 minutes in, lucky goal. Ramon Vegas scored a hat trick in his debut, didn't he? I mean, but then throughout the game, I was like, this kid's 19 and he's very fast. He's clearly very strong, and he has a lot of confidence. And the ball fell to him. I know that goal reminded me of Wanyama at Tynecastle a couple of years back.
Yeah.
I mean, the ball fell, and it wasn't even the thought in his head. Just threw his leg at it, and it went, and it was a good finish. And at that point, I was like, I think we could be on to a big scoreline here, because then it just kept being attack after attack after attack. And when it wasn't full on attack, it was like hold the ball, stay in midfield, and just keep moving forward. And I like that. I really I like that relentlessness. Paul, I mean yourself, you were there, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Aye, I would say. It was. I mean, Denier was one of the ones where, you know, when I seen him in the warm up and that, I was thinking, he looked to me a bit like Van Dijk's wee brother, really. You know what I mean? The way he was running, and it was, and then of course, he was probably shaky for the first 5 minutes. A lot of ball over the top in that, but then
and the short pass back as well, Paul.
Aye, and then you're kind of thinking, oh God, here we go. But once he walked into the game, I mean, he was reading the game so well. And he was really just so composed in his distribution and in his tackling, and he tackles. You know, I think it's a dying art, tackling. You know, I think defenders didn't tackle anymore, and he actually tackles people when he lets them know they're there, and that's good. And as you say, Joe, I mean, the finish was tremendous. Yeah. And for a guy so young, you know, to just come into a game like that and end up winning the man of the match was absolutely tremendous. And I mean, I thought it was actually a bit, I don't know, like, the one thing I would honestly, really, truthfully criticise for is we do not know how to celebrate, and I mean as a club. We never, ever get it right, a celebration. And it was so flat on Saturday. You know, before the game, you had, like, you know, all these guys come on with these big champions. They've all got a letter each. And it took them 10 minutes to work out which letter went where and all this nonsense.
You want to see the size of the scissors, though?
And you're kind of thinking, you know, is that it? And then it's like you've got your man who's doing the Tano announcement now. I mean, he's like an opera singer. You know, it's like everybody, Charlie Mulgrew, like, fucking calm down, mate. You know, and it just never works. It never works. And then of course, so you're thinking everybody your mind's on is Fergus. That's all you're thinking about. And the first person they announce, Neil Doncaster. Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? And it was bizarre because then you had the bizarre thing about Fergus unfurling the flag, and I don't know if this was a part in the teleno, but he never went into the director's box. He went into the north stand. Right. And I actually asked somebody, he said, what was all that about? And he says, he's always been a bit strange.
Is this Fergus?
Aye, and he said,
he owns his own seats there. He has a line of seats or something. Somebody had said to me in the north stand.
Aye, he refused to go into the director's box.
Yeah,
that's what he said. I'm not a director. That's what he just kept saying, and so it never went doing well within the club. Let me tell you, but So it was really, really flat, the atmosphere, you know what I mean? There was obviously loads of bonnets about and all that kind of thing, and added to the fact it felt like a November day. But then, of course, the team did come on and respond really well. And again, the confidence was surging. But I have to say, I do think it's tempered by the fact that the Dundee United defending, it was just atrocious. 4 goals for set pieces, and the goalie, just was all over the place. And I sort of mentioned that to the management team of Dundee United, and let's just say they felt their goalie was intimidated by the atmosphere, shall we say?
See, just to bring it back to Denier a wee bit, that's going to be a great the Denier. Denied.
Ever thought of that?
It kind of. I mean, I don't know how you feel about this, but to me, watching it, it was like the first time we'd played with 2 proper centre halves for years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as Ambrose he's had relative success there, but to me, he's not on it in a centre half. Lustig not on it in a centre half. So I, as you said, it did look like Van Dijk's wee brother. I really liked that. I liked that back 4.
But there was, I
know we had a big discussion on the thread, and Jason doesn't fancy him as a right back, but as you say, Joe, I think he's solid enough.
I think he's solid enough, but I mean, in the first 3 to 4 minutes, he was caught flat-footed on the right side, and Mackay Stephen could have scored. But apart from that, I think he was all right.
I mean, to say that I'm saying we looked like with 2 proper centre halves, and I like that back 4. Dundee United had a bit of success in the first 10 minutes. Through us at times. I was getting pretty annoyed with Charlie Mulgrew. I didn't think he was offering enough protection in the middle at times. He's just so on pace, But once they settled into the game, the back 4 was they cruised through it, I think Lustig's still my preferred choice at right back. Adam Matthews is turning into he just gets injured all the time. The guy misses a lot of games for a young man, James Forrest again get off with a hamstring. I mean, that's just his career just turning into a disaster.
I mean, it's turning into it's like Roy of the Rovers, the horror story. You know what I mean? It's and the thing is, and I hate as fans were he's injured again, but see watching him come off the pitch. He looked distraught. I mean,
it has to be
absolutely distraught. And that's not nice to see because because he is an effective player. He's an impact player. He's a quality player. But I think was it Neil McCann of all people who dropped the wisdom saying when you're that fast, your turn of pace is that good. You're always going to run those risks.
Well, the thing is, at Forrest as well, he'd probably get a good right run at it under Deila because he seems to be the kind of player Deila likes, fast and direct. I mean, Deila keeps talking about he wants players to be faster all the time. That interview we all read that was in the Scotsman the other day was really interesting. Right. He was shocked at the fact Celtic players train and then just go away. We didn't go for something to eat. Everybody knows the first 20 minutes after you train is your recovery time. And even Lustig was saying there used to be some of the players that went for a can of Iron Brew or a can of Coke, and you're like, see, you reading that, and you're like, how does that happen at Celtic? I'm sure this. People know by now,
But I like the fact that he's
all that kind of side that I'm liking that side that for Deila that he's going to install that in the club. I heard prior to actually reading that there's been a bit of division on the training. I've heard that like the Commons, Stokes, and 1 or 2 others have not been too happy with this kind of new regime because it's getting in the way extracurricular activities that they maybe have planned and things they want to do. Where they're having to spend more time at the training and all that. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that's something I heard earlier in the week, last week. And put us some of the other players that seems to be like Lustig and Mulgrew and stuff like that are loving it.
Yeah,
so we just have to see. That's rumours and stories. You hear that
Yeah, there was comparisons to Paul Le Guen in that respect, but I get the feeling Ronny Deila is a better communicator, and he's. I mean, what is it I read him say in that Scotsman article? He said, if they make a mistake or they do something wrong next week, he said, it's not a big deal. They don't give a shit. He said, but just, at least try to stick. I mean, concentrate. Let's get better and let's get fitter and let's get faster. And I think John Collins would probably be the guy as an assistant that will light the fire in everybody's arse going, see, you're not having a fucking cheeseburger. Whereas Deila won't be that guy. Deila will be saying, either do what he says or you don't play.
And the thing that keeps coming up about that is with John Collins, the thing they go straight away to is the fact that then Hibs had a players' revolt because they didn't like all this stuff. And Paul, you were saying something about that.
I mean, see that's one of the most ridiculous. It's one of these stories that just gets told as fact all the time. There's two things that never get mentioned in that. The first one is the players' revolt was a look today with Tommy Craig, which, if you actually now hear St Mirren players are saying, "Oh, Tommy Craig's a fucking nut job and he's screaming, ranting, and raving." So that was the first thing. Second thing is, anybody who knows Hibs at that time will tell you, under Mowbray, guys like Caldwell, Riordan, O'Connor were in the bookies at 12:05 every single day for Ward Day where they trained. And that was the regime. And then suddenly Collins went and said, "No, we're having an all-day thing, professionalism, we can't afford to come." I mean, you've got to understand with John Collins, right? Here's something that always gets forgotten about John Collins when he was at Hibs at that time. Apart from the fact he won a trophy that, he knew that Hibs had to make a seismic leap from where they were until, to challenge us and the Huns and whatever, right? He, at that time, ensured that Hibs bid $1.5 million for Stephen Naismith. Now, you think about that. They probably never had any chance of getting him. But what a statement that makes to the fans. It's like, aye, we're in for the top players. We'll go for guys like that. It was about trying to do that. And the players that was there was just like, stuff it. I mean, in terms of the comparison with Le Guin, I mean, to me, there's no comparison. Le Guin went into Ibrox at a time where Barry Ferguson was in charge of the football team. End of story. And that's what it came down to. And Murray, for the only time in his career, didn't back his manager and back Barry Ferguson. If you remember, Boyd scored at Fir Park and he's putting the number 6 up. No, that's nonsense. Players take over, that's it, finished. And the last thing I'd say as well, just touching on the game, is that there's two things I learnt for the game on Saturday. First of all, I could see why they signed Bergett, because you can see what he does, runs right across the back four all the time, cause them mayhem. And secondly, the style of play that we're playing with the short one-touch passing, I can see why they want to keep Samaras.
Aye, exactly. That's a very good point, Paul. I mean, I never even thought about that, because Bergett, he seemed to be squeezing balls through tiny little openings, you know what I mean? Which is, it's something you see in the Premier League. And I'm not saying he's a Premier League player, but I'm saying is his thinking and his ability and the fact that he was able to move the ball in small areas real quick, and he was thinking about it. And see when he got his first goal, you could see he was fucking delighted with himself.
Oh, aye. And I think that's a fantastic. Any striker coming to Celtic, you get a couple of goals, boom, you're off and running. You ask any defender, somebody running along your eye line all through the game just puts you off massively. You didn't know whether to pick him up. You didn't know if somebody else was going to pick him up. And he was just taking up the positions. He's not a big physical player, but he's a clever football player. And you can see why Dailas went, we need to get this guy because he understands what system we play. And suddenly, 1 minute he's on the touchline, and then the next minute he's in the box, heat the ball into the net. And that is just a nightmare to defend against, you know what I mean?
I see that. I also watched an interview. I read an interview with Lustig recently, and he was talking about the Scandinavian way of approaching football and fitness. And I just got ice on my shorts there from my daughter.
Sorry, we're going.
Okay, here we go. Sorry. And Lustig mentioned how the Scandinavian approach to fitness and football is very different to the Scottish approach, the British approach, as it would be, in terms of he mentioned, energy drinks and certain diets and lifestyles. And I get the feeling that Deila's got Johansson there, he's got Bergett there, he's got Lustig there. Talk as he's bringing in this Swiss lad. I think maybe is it possible Deila's bringing in a heavier Scandinavian influence in order to kind of coerce the other sort of British or Scottish players into the type of mentality he wants for his team, especially going into the Champions League,
But see, first of all, right, I'm shocked that I was genuinely shocked reading that article that we're still in this position. I thought that kind of thing was in the past. Mm-hmm. I knew we had the nutritionist now at the club. I thought we were already covering all this, what the players were eating and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm genuinely gobsmacked that players playing for Celtic, the money they're getting, are still being allowed to, up until now, to go about their business at lunchtime. Go away and go and get a bloody pie and chips, if they like. I mean, I'm genuinely gobsmacked at that. Now, the Scandinavian angle, I don't think it's ever been any secret that Scandinavians are settle well into Scottish football. It's the same climate. It's a similar style of football, if you like. So they always settle well, and obviously a Scandinavian manager, he's going to side towards that. And I think also Scandinavian players come into our budget. Do you know what I mean? They're never guys that go for big money. The other side of that was, I don't know how successful Scandinavian football is at the minute when you look at international teams and the club teams and that. So there is the other side of that coin, like, you know. But it's interesting. The thing I'm liking at the minute is Deila, whether it's loan signings, and he said he wasn't going to make loan signings, and suddenly we are making loan signings, maybe we have due to buy, which is slightly different, I suppose. But at least he's making his own stamp on the club, and I'm really happy to see that he is going to make big changes to the professionalism, because at the end of the day, it's only going to benefit those players.
Absolutely.
I can imagine, like, sorry, Matty, just before, I'm just going to go and get a drink when I finish this. Like, Anthony Stokes, right? I think Anthony Stokes is one of the most underrated players at Celtic. He's so intelligent. He's so quick-minded round about the box. He can play the wee flicks, the wee 1-2s, if he's got a good partner beside him. But Anthony Stokes' lifestyle away for Celtic probably would shock the manager. Do you know what I mean? I mean, we've all seen him in Ireland, the stuff he's getting up to in that, and the drinking and all that. I'm not saying he's going to drink before games, but this isn't the 80s. This isn't the 90s. This is when you're making, I don't know, what's Anthony Stokes making? Thousands and thousands of pounds a week. So it's time to knuckle down, and they'll become better players for it. And they'll look back in this, and this could be a turning point for all of these players in their careers, like, no? And I think Anthony Stokes can still have a big future at Celtic.
Marty, you were going to say something there?
I was just going to go back to some of the stuff that you had just covered there. Harper's correct. I had sort of taken it for granted that the nutrition stuff had been sorted under when Strachan was there. You know, I remember Tommy Burns talking about Gregory Dupont, you know, the French nutritionist and fitness coach who left then a couple of years later. And I suppose your attitude is, they had him and he left, that's good. You know, somebody else comes in and replaces him, the position's there. But then to find out that a woman called Pam, who I'd never heard of, is the nutritionist now, and she only works 2 days a week. And actually it was quite a culture shock when she was asked to travel in pre-season. Now, if anybody had taken a look at Stefan Johansson, I think about 5 years ago, under Ronny Deila, will know where we're going here. Because he was fatter than me. You know, he was a mess, and he was playing as a winger for some strange reason. I think Deila knocked about 4 stones and put him into the centre of midfield and made a player, became North East Player of the Year. So, what I've heard is that the Celtic players spent a lot of time looking at Deila's record when he was announced, and some of them weren't impressed. They didn't like his away record, for example, when he was in Strong Gunset. What they should have really been looking at was what was he doing?
Marty, your escape lane is going bananas.
Can you hear me, boys?
Did a plane land in your back garden?
That's what it sounded like.
Is it gone or is it on?
It just kind of came and went. You were like, it was like. Do you ever see that scene in Poltergeist? Are you there, Carol Ann? It was like that.
Is it back now?
Oh, it's back now. Right.
Even my escape hates me. Right, where was it? Well, what I was saying was I was talking about some of the players. What I had heard was a lot of the players at Celtic had taken a look at Ronny Deila when he was announced, and they didn't like what they saw. They weren't impressed with him. They focused on things like his away record and that he hadn't won too many games away from home, this sort of thing. But if they had had any sense, they'd have been looking at what he was doing as a coach. And if anybody has seen the pictures of Stefan Johansson from 5 or 6 years ago, you know, he was a big fat guy. You know, I don't know how he ever became a footballer. He was huge, and I think at that time he was playing on the wing, which was even more incredible to think how he could carry himself. And Deila must have knocked about 4 stone off him, moved him inside, and made him Norway's Player of the Year. So these sorts of changes that are coming are welcome. You know, they have to be. They have to outlive Ronny Deila. You know, if Ronny Deila does become a Le Guin figure, you know, maybe he doesn't get the results coming up to Christmas and has to be Tony Mowbray or whatever, then these aspects of diet and fitness have to live beyond him. And that's Lawwell's job, you know, and whoever else in there who is sort of the permanent government of Celtic. They have to make sure that this is on the agenda every day. taking a nutritionist in 2 days a week to work with 70 players. There must be 70 players in our setup from top to bottom. That's just not on. And and to find out that she was sort of surprised to be asked away on pre-season trips, that's crazy. That's a full-time position. That person should be in there every year, particularly at that time of the year when the players are coming back from breaks and whatever else, because we're all human. We all like to cut loose and eat our curry and whatever else. Players are different. And I take Harper's point about Stokes and his lifestyle. Absolutely, that has to be factored in. So it'll be interesting to see if there's going to be big squad changes in terms of, if this that stuff's working. If there's a change in attitude towards players, it'd be very, very interesting to keep an eye on that. I thought that article was fascinating, and there was absolutely nothing in it that would cause any surprise to anyone. It was all common sense stuff.
Yeah, but
John Collins be there.
There was some sort of sly digs at Lennon as well, though. I thought in that article.
I think that's right, Joe. Yes, we picked up on that as well. And I mean, I laughed. We were talking about it today, and I said I remember the Sky Sports Champions League night when Lennon took his jersey off. I don't know if you can remember this.
I remember that, and Charlie Nicholas and Jim White were laughing at him.
And Souness absolutely pissing themselves laughing. And then as well, I remember being at Old Trafford for the game about 5 years ago. We were sitting behind the dugout in Old Trafford, and Paul Hartley came off the bench, and within about 10 seconds of Paul Hartley coming off the bench, the ball came high to him and he jumped for it, and I swear to God, his belly was hanging over his shorts, and I was looking at him going, this guy, Jesus Christ, this guy is a professional footballer, how could he be so heavy? So I think that the changes being put in, especially for young players coming through, they need to see that there's a right treating yourself and a right and a wrong way of treating us as fans.
This is such a big thing in sports now. Like if you look at the German international team, right? They had their own chef now when we were at the World Cup. They set up mobile kitchens, all the training camps and stuff like that. And I think it was an American guy. I could be wrong there, but I think Arsenal have just signed the guy who Germany took round them. I mean, look at the Germans, the most efficient nation in the world. Like, they're do everything right. That's why they are as good as they are. And Arsene Wenger stepped in and he signed the guy for Germany to come and be with Arsenal this season. And he was talking about how this is going to be such a big thing at the club. And this guy's going to come in, he's going to tailor everybody's diets and stuff like that. You heard about even the England team, the World Cup, they had like energy drinks that were tailored to each individual player. Vitamin drinks and that. So it's such an important. These guys have got to realise they are athletes.
Aye. I mean,
it's going to put Celtic a step ahead, certainly, of the rest of everybody in Scotland.
But I suppose
we need it just to keep up.
I think Deila's that much of a... I mean, he understands the margins between winning and losing, right? But he's also said that, like, I don't care if I lose, as long as they go out there and play good football. So I like him because he's a very open-minded guy. He's like, I want you to be fitter, I want you to be faster, and I want you to try hard, right? Obviously, results are important if you want to win. But the thing is, I don't think Ronny Deila's fearing for his job. I don't think he'll ever fear for his job. Because I think it's just his personality. He just comes back as a very laid-back guy. Right?
Well, that's sort of... See on Wednesday night, he got interviewed after the game, and whoever interviewer says, like, I mean, what do you think? Happy with that? And he wasn't happy. He says, no, there's a long way to go. There's definitely a long way to go here. So he's not going to rest in his laurels. I don't even think he's going to look at that 6-1 win at the weekend and think, we've suddenly turned a corner here. I still think there's a number of players in that team who will be at Celtic.
But I hope this is the thing I was talking about. We'll probably return to it in terms of Deila's tactics. It's all right saying that, Joe. We'll go out and win. If we don't, so what? As long as we entertain. But that worries me because there are matches where you're going to need a plan B. Deila has to adapt. So Maribor could be one of them here. We could be back next week to being depressed.
Oh, come on! Yes, no, it isn't.
I'm not here to pontificate.
Absolutely. I mean, we're not sending out any. We're not launching fucking balloons into the sky yet. You know what I mean? Saying happy days. But I mean, I just like the idea that he's on top of he's on top of everything he thinks about. You know what I mean? He knows that they're not as fit as he wants them to be. He knows they're not playing the football he wants them to play. right? But he's also not. He's not a hard arse. He doesn't come across as a hard arse. Like, I mean, he's not the kind of guy that's going to go in there and bust your balls. I think John Collins is that guy, right? But Ronny Deila is the guy with the vision. I mean,
I don't know, Joe. Do you remember his press conference after going out of the Champions League? Like, he didn't miss it at the wall. Do you know, he was saying these guys aren't good enough. You know, so I think you're right. He's not going to be sort of kissing everybody's feet after beating Dundee United in the league, but I don't know. There's a bit of an assassin about him as well. I think
he seems a quick
I think
learner.
as well, though. I think as well what I have liked so far since the podcast last Monday, and everybody said it's the most depressing podcast we've done yet. Everything I've seen and heard for Deila, reading that article, the performances, interviews after the games, he's saying everything that's making me feel a lot calmer about things. The club side and the board and everything, that's a different thing altogether, the stuff we spoke about last week. But the football and operations, the style of player he's trying to bring in, the type of football he's still talking about he wants to play, this stuff about nutrition, players need to be faster, they need to lose weight, professionalism. He's doing everything since last Monday and saying everything that makes me feel, obviously the 2 wins helped, but even he's talking after it and the stuff I'm hearing is making me feel a lot calmer and a lot happier in the direction his vision, certainly. Whether it'll get there, but the vision he has to the club is something I'm certainly very happy with.
Paul, we'll throw it over to you, mate. I mean, do you think Dale is the kind of guy that's... I mean, he doesn't seem like a kind of guy that likes the rest of his laurels, but he also doesn't seem like a kind of guy that gets overly excited by, you know, the winning, for one, and progress, for another. Because I think he sees a long game. You know?
Well, I mean, if you're a guy who's taken a previous team from anywhere to become the champions in Norway, then you're clearly focused. I mean, that has to be your thing, because you can't do that and be somebody who gets distracted by many things or kind of jumps off the horse mid-race kind of thing. You see it through at the end. And so, I mean, he does. I mean, I think, at the start of his Celtic career, I was some of the things he was saying, I was kind of, like, we've got to control games against Barcelona, and you just think, what are you talking about, But now I think you're starting to see what he's actually trying, and we're a million miles away. I mean, we're no, just because we won 6-1 doesn't mean anything, The key will be on Wednesday. If he does something on Wednesday, then people say, actually, you know what, this guy might actually have something here. And it's going to be due to the players. And I think, just to touch on the nutrition thing, you can have the best nutritionist in the world, and you have a manager telling you this what to do. It's due to the players to do it. There's that. And I mean, they're all fucking tweeting photos for Nando's. They've all got fucking, different things going on in their lives. A lot of the younger players are getting blitzed every single Saturday. I mean, I remember talking to a guy who I knew who owned one of Glasgow's biggest nightclubs about 6 years ago about Celtic and Rangers players, young players, and young players in Scotland and that. And he said, I'll tell you why they never progress, because all they want to do is go on a Saturday night and get pissed. Every fucking one of them. And that has to be, I mean, that's the thing with Stokes. I mean, I know for a fact when Stokes was in the Rock Bar in April there, that he was very, very close to having his contract torn up by Celtic. And Peter Lawwell literally tore him fucking shreds off him because of that. Because he was just like, you just can't do this. How stupid can you possibly be? And it's just, you have to make these. I mean, this is why Deila keeps talking about the sacrifices. Mm-hmm. Tony Watt refused to make the sacrifices. Tony Watt came back a stone overweight, couldn't play pre-season until they played in Hamburg, and had a big time Charlie attitude around the club. So Deila's like, fuck this, get rid of him, you know what I mean? And that is, Mark said it, he does have a wee touch of an assassin about him. Yep. John Collins will not miss anybody. We can all
anybody who's seen Collins operate, and there's no question about it. It's his road of the way out. They're very, very similar people from what I've seen. And you even saw the photographs of them when they were announced. For fuck's sake, the two of them looked like Bert and Ernie. They looked like they were in love. Yeah. Deila had said that they had sat down for 4 hours, 2 4-hour chats. I mean, what were they talking about? They clearly have
Salad.
Do you know, exactly, and doing weight. You saw Ronny Deila stripped naked and doing press-ups on the pitch in Norway, so they're cut off the same block, Paul, without a doubt.
And also, I mean, you've also got the other Norwegian guy that Deila's brought in, and you've got John Kennedy there, who John Kennedy's much more laid back, and I would assume would be the guy the players would go to and speak to you about problems. And one thing that sort of didn't happen, see in the press, or seemed to miss everybody by, was that on Thursday there, Danny McGrain was given a job for life by Celtic. Who he came back for the first time after convalescing and was taken in the office and told Danny, there's a job here for you as long as you need it. Simple as that. And I thought it was a brilliant touch by Celtic.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
But see when you mentioned the backroom staff there, I mean, in terms of like Collins and Kennedy, what you have there is also a couple of layers. You have Deila, who's brand new, right, with a brand new vision. You have his mate, who's never forgotten, coming in to kind of be his number two in respect of the Scandinavian way, I imagine. Then you got Collins, who's old school Celtic as a player, but also new school in football in terms of like has played in Europe and done very well, and is very dedicated to his fitness and his health. And then you got John Kennedy as well, who is kind of new school Celtic to a certain degree. You know what I mean? So you've got quite a potent mix there of people,
but
and I think that's going to help.
You can't underestimate, Joe, the role of Collins. We talked about this among our mates when we were chatting about it. When two things really stand out for me. One is Tony Watt. Paul's right. The decision on Tony Watt was made really quickly, right? So Deila didn't really know. The other decision was to elevate young McGregor directly into the first team. So who was watching? Because he wasn't even on Celtic last year.
Yeah,
he was Notts County. So somebody with an ear, with Deila's ear, is saying, "Look, get him out and get him." And, he's basing those decisions on somebody else's views pretty quickly. And my guess is that that's John Collins exerting his influence very quickly.
And what I like as well, I mean, like, I don't want to go back to the Scandinavian. Like, I don't want to harper on that because I just, it's obviously in my head for a start because it's not obviously been proven. But what I think is that getting rid of Alexis Tony Watt and bringing in a Brigette, right? And I'm not saying like a player is like for like. What I'm saying is like that Deila's philosophy seems to be like, okay, well, if you're not going to do what I want, you can get the fuck out of here. And I'm going to bring in a guy in who knows what I want and is going to actually listen to what I'm saying. And he wants to be a better football player for this club.
That's the way it should be,
Exactly.
I mean, to touch on Tony Watt, the straw that broke Camel's back with Tony Watt was the trip to St. Pauli, where he acted like a complete dick the entire time, including causing a massive scene in the breakfast area where the Celtic, first 5-star treatment for all the Celtic players, every breakfast item you could imagine laid out for them, every drink, everything. And Tony Watt caused a massive scene because he demanded biscuits. He demanded biscuits to put peanut butter on. And he screamed and shouted at a waiter and humiliated a waiter, and then was told to sit down and shut up by Kennedy. And when he did, he sat down and told everybody that could listen that he was better than everybody at the club, and he didn't understand why he was even in this trip and blah blah blah. And Deila said right there and then, get rid of him. End of story.
Tell you what, see, apart from all the other shit, see if you're nasty to a waiter, you're a dick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Complete fucking dick. That's your standing, in my opinion, goes down. If you can't be nice to a guy that's serving you food, there's something fucking wrong with you. You know what I mean?
See, to touch a wee bit further on the John Collins thing, basically you've got two managers. You've got a guy here, this guy isn't just a first team coach, this guy is an experienced football manager who his success is probably debatable. But I think he actually got a good track record as a manager. And he could quite easily be the Celtic manager if Deila hadn't got the job, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was people touting him for the job. Now, I think a lot of times people would say, well, that could maybe cause friction because maybe John Collins would maybe be there thinking he should be the manager or stuff like that. But I think John Collins realises it's a massive opportunity. This is him getting his toe back in the water. Now, whether John Collins will stay there long term, I don't know, because John Collins seems to me a guy, somebody could come in for John Collins down the line, but to me, it can only be a positive to have that sort of, Joe, you touched on it like an old school Celtic sort of thing. A guy, I think it is important. We talk about things about you don't need to have a Celtic man as manager, and I don't think you do, but I do think it's important to have somebody who knows the ins and outs of the club, the history of the club, what it means. The Roy Aitken types. John Collins was never that tight, but he was what a hell of a football player he was. And I do think it is important that a club like Celtic to have that sort of influence in the dressing room, and a big influence, a loud voice.
But there's kind of seems to have been, there's always been that guy. I mean, Tommy Burns was that guy. Danny McGrain was that guy. Even John Clark was that guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. To a certain degree, even though he was the kit man, right? But I like the fact that there's a bedrock of old school thinking. And I don't mean old school thinking in the fact like going, let me tell you a thing or two about how we do things here. Not that bullshit. What I mean is like the likes of guys like say the likes of Tony Watt. Like, not that I want to fucking make Tony Watt a criminal and like a hate figure. What I'm saying is like an attitude like that at the club. Someone saying, "Well, I'm this and I'm that." It's always good to have a guy from back in the day to go. That's not how shit works around here, son. You know what I mean?
But the thing about Collins is, Joe, is that John Collins' ego is as big as Ian both of Bobby. Do you know what I mean? He's not going to sit and take that off a young guy, no matter who it is. You know, and that's why I find it very interesting that young McGregor has been stepped up into the team. That, you know, there's Deila couldn't have seen that young guy last year. You know, he wasn't here. Deila said he sat down and watched it.
What the fuck?
Young McGregor wasn't playing in those games for Notts County. So clearly there is a good relationship between the two of them. If it works out for Ronny Deila will be away, never mind John Collins. You know, and you would definitely see Collins stepping in and taking it.
Yeah, I mean,
afterwards.
In comparison to last week, we were like we were fucking, you know, in the throes of woe, saying that Deila might just be a scapegoat for Law. I mean, like, it's kind of either we're complete tubes or Ronny Deila has got the making of us all.
Well, I mean, Joe, like, the first thing about that is that, you know, you can accuse Peter Lawley of many things, being stupid isn't one of them. It's no coincidence that all of a sudden on Sunday all the papers were flooded about how great Ronny Deila was. You know, the phones were worked on Saturday night, that's for sure. Yeah. Second thing about John Collins, it has to be, people forget, like, John Collins won a trophy for Hibs because his team won 5-1 in a cup final. Let me repeat that. Hibs won 5-1 in a cup final. You know what I mean? This is a team that can barely beat fucking anybody. Anybody in the last decade. 5-1 in a cup final. And that's why he'll be a legend at East Road forever. And, you know, I agree with Harper. I mean, it's a guy that could sort of, you know, be somebody people might tout and say, oh, you know what, might get him, whatever. But to me, I mean, it's the fabled thing that every football club strives for with managers, the footy Anfield boot room thing, where everybody just steps into the next guy's shoes. I mean, that Anfield boot room was started way back in the 50s. You know, you had the Liverpool manager who was there for the 1950s, and it ended when Kenny Dalglish became the player manager in 1985. So, I mean, that's a wee bit of an ask for a football club to say, like, Kennedy will be the manager in 10 years and then somebody else will be in 20 and all be there now. You know, we need to get ahead of ourselves or whatever, but I mean, the one thing that was consistent for last week's show is that not one person was saying, "Oh, Deila must go," you know, or this kind of thing. We just wanted him to be back, and hopefully he's going to be, you know.
But the thing is, I've seen that recede in the past week, Paul. I mean, I seen like last week. You see, you know, every dick on his dog, Deila must go and Deila out. You know, see all these fucking dickheads that want attention, right?
Yeah.
But even the people who are thinking, you know, this guy, like even us, even me and you, like saying we're not too sure this guy's the guy. See, this week, I'm going, you know what? Ronny Deila is going to get the year out of me, without a doubt. You know what I mean? Because he just, it's not even impressive. It's like he just seems to have the one-up on us for some reason. He just seems to be like going, okay, you can think what you think, but I'm going to do what I know I'm good at doing, and I'm going to get what I want. And I like the way he's honest about it. He's like, if it's possible, it's possible. If it's not, well then. You know what I mean? And,
you're not going to get 6-0 or 6-1 wins every Saturday.
No.
This is the thing. You know, it's not going to be like an abracadabra minute where you just turn up. And you could be right, Paul. You know, if things go well and injuries don't sort of hamper us, I'm still quite worried about how he plays. And I said this when he joined. I watched his pre-seasons, the Dresden game and a couple of the other games, and you can see the high line, but you could see as well on Saturday where the centre backs were too far apart. And if United had been a bit better, you saw it in the first minute and all that. But even through the game, if United had been a bit better, it was there to exploit. And when we come up against a better calibre of team, you know, that's going to be hard. And that's what I'm saying. Deila is then going to need to say, right, Charlie Mulgrew, have you in central midfield, but you haven't got the legs to get back there and provide the cover the way Wanyama would have. So then, what do? You know, do you tuck your backs in a bit more and sort of go long, you know, rather than everybody bombing down the flanks, which looks fantastic, but it can cost. You know, if you don't have the players in the middle well to map up for you, and deniers on one side and Van Dijk's away at the other side, you'll get punished.
See, you mentioned Mulgrew. I think Mulgrew's days are numbered at Celtic, really do. They're no Joe. Hang on, let me speak. the way you're talking about Marty, how he played pre-season and that, right? And I suppose even how he tried to line up in the European games against Legia and that, where he was probably a bit naive. He tried to enforce something too early. But I think he's found out. I think one good thing to come out of it, I think he's found out very early the players are just not going to be able to fit into that system that he wants to play. And that's why you're suddenly seeing these flooded players. And that's maybe why he's probably had to change his mind about loan players. Because he's maybe says, well, wait a minute, I need to change, make wholesale changes here pretty quick to get players to play the way I want to play. No. I think that's why we're seeing these players coming in. That's what, four players coming in if these two guys sign. I think they're still looking for a striker as well.
I thought it was very interesting, Harper, that he did go for a centre-back, that he brought that other guy in, that he wasn't, as someone said earlier on, he wasn't prepared to just wait on Ambrose to slide back in. I was surprised at that, and I'm delighted.
But as well, look at it, Marty, I mean, and like, would you have thought, bringing Deila in, that, like, or bringing any manager in, that he would have said, right, what I want to do is I want to sign a 19-year-old centre-half, and I want to bring him through a youth player who was on loan last year, and you're going to find yourself with two good players.
I mean, I've heard people say that, they're not impressed with that young lad McGregor, and I'm going, Jesus Christ,
something wrong with you.
He's only through. You have to give him a chance and let him see how he can develop. I used to sit up at night and watch the football league show like a sad sack to see him scoring, and he looked dead on. I saw him some cup games as well, and he's raw, but you're so's Denayer. You have to let these. We are where we are. We can't afford to go out and buy the finished product, so we have to let these young guys get through. And people are complaining that we're bringing in loan deals, and but would you not have preferred to get Baldy and Pookie on a loan deal? Let's see how they can do, and then ship them out if they're not good enough. So you can't. We're just going to have to sit and wait. And let's see how this goes. By Christmas time, we'll have a fair idea if he is our Leguin. Personally, I hope not, but see where we are.
The interesting thing about Denayer as well, though, I mean, I don't know, was he really going out and looking for a centre half? Or was it a case of what we spoke about last week? Paul brought it up, and then interestingly, the next day we were linked to two players from Man City, and we signed one of them because Paul brought up last Monday that there's definitely a link up with Celtic and Manchester City. So I don't know so much if he was a player that was offered to Celtic.
Well, the one thing I do know about it, Harper, is that there's obviously, Peter Lawwell's sons in at Man City scouting, and Celtic, I think, have quietly and unofficially made a wee link, because clearly Man City have got absolutely tons of players, you know what I mean? And they've gone to have, and they've just re-signed or given extensions to their kind of spine of their team. So for guys like Denayer, who we'd have no chance of actually signing full stop, we can offer them a year. And Man City wanted to take Ronny Deila as first-team coach. That was how we found out about him. And Pellegrini was kind of humming and hawing about it. And then, so when they, when Deila kind of went in for Deila, having seen him before, because he'd been over to watch Man City and train with him and all that kind of thing, they were quite happy to let him go there because they value him so much, but they also trust Ronny Deila. Yeah. So that's how we were able to get a quality player like him. And I think on the centre-half thing, I think the style that Denayer plays is ideal. We have been, as we've seen against Legia, very susceptible to balls over the top. And what we could do with him, I think, because Denayer is like an all-style sweeper, is just say to Van Dijk, listen, you just go and hit everything out. Everything that comes near us, just go and hit it out. And anything it doesn't, then Denayer will try and sweep it up. And that might be the way, because Ambrose was never going to do that. He wasn't I don't think he could concentrate enough to read it as well. Yeah. Whereas if we have that simple Pallister and Bruce kind of scenario, which like you go for everything and I'll get everything you didn't, that might just work, because that to me seems to be our only flaw, and it's a bad flaw, but it's our only flaw in defence, is that just when a ball goes over the top, But I have to say as well, and we've never really spoken about this, do you know one thing that might actually counteract that as well is Craig Gordon comes off his line for everything.
Mm. Yeah.
And that's something that for Rob Foster, for however good he was, never really done that much. I mean, Craig Gordon, and I'm sure that the challenge for Shifty, which was a horrible challenge.
Everybody held their breath.
I'm sure Craig Gordon was pretty delighted with that after he came out unscathed, because we've spoken before with people like Izagiri. If you've been out for that long, sometimes you just need a challenge like that to say, right, okay, that's me done now and I'm back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that hopefully that will sort of help that thing. Whereas the balls that come over the top, Van Dijk might heed them away, or Gordon might just come out and grab them.
We didn't actually mention Gordon either, sorry.
Aye. And he's been quietly impressive.
Aye. I mean, I like the fact that he's tall. That's always good for a keeper. Same way I said before, it's good to have two arms as well. But I mean, he's not going to be a replacement for Fraser Forster, but I think we got the best keeper we're going to get for the smallest price.
But I have to say,
you've got a known commodity.
Aye,
you know Craig Gordon. You know what he's going to give you. So as long as he can stay fit, I mean, we've actually to go back to last week's show, we've won a watch with Craig Gordon.
Aye, I think that too. Aye.
I mean, well, sorry, Mark, on you go.
No, just nobody gave him as much grief as me when we said, because I was looking going, I think we shipped 50 goals by him when he was at Hearts. He's broken his arm. I think he's broken his arm twice.
I think he's broke both arms, man.
2 years. Was it both arms?
I think he might have broke both arms.
Twice. So, here's a guy coming in with, his career was on the skids, hadn't kicked the ball in 2 years, and he's impressed me, I must say. I saw him, just what you were saying there, I think I remember Henrik Larsson saying that after Larsson broke his leg, he got the first tackle, and there was a big intake of breath around the ground, and when Larsson felt okay, we knew he was back in form. But I remember seeing Gordon against Dresden, and somebody hitting a cracker at him, and stung the hands, and you were going, oh, for a guy who hasn't played football in a long time, that was a good reaction, and you're hoping that he keeps fit for the rest of the season, because we're going to need somebody like him.
Yeah.
So let's speculate then. This is just us speculating. I mean, what players at Celtic currently are not going to fit in to the Ronny Deila way of thinking going forward? We've signed obviously Berget. We've signed the guy Tonev. I mean, you've got to imagine we're signing these guys to play, right?
Yeah.
You're not bringing this guy to Aston Villa to no play. They're looking at this other. It looks like we're going to get this. Is it Mubarak? I'm not sure how you pronounce his name.
I'll tell you his name now.
That's another winger. You're talking about this Swiss midfielder, right? Coming in. That's another guy who's going to play. Right. So you're talking about signing two wingers. I don't know what is Berget. I mean, is he a winger? Is he a striker? The Swiss midfielder. You've got to imagine we've got a centre half. You've still got to imagine we're looking for a striker, a goal scorer. So I mean, that's a lot of players coming in.
I'm not sure.
I'm
not sure the sort of system he plays, Harper. He'll be looking. I think. Do you mean like a sort of a centre half, big number 9 type striker?
I mean a goal scorer. I don't think we're a goal scorer.
He's almost in some of the games he's been playing 5 at the front. I don't know if you've noticed. If you go back and look at young McGregor's goal against Legia, 5 Celtic players lined along the box, so he's playing actually at front 5. And to me, he wants those 5 to be fluid. You can see it with Berget, as Paul said earlier, drifting across the back line of the opposition and pulling apart. So I don't know if he is.
Do you think Marty?
Sorry, Joe, but what I'm trying to say is, right, let me just get to the point. What I'm trying to make is then, where does Pookie come in all this? Where does Griffiths fit in all that?
Yeah, well, Griffiths, I was listening to Sportsound a couple of weeks ago. Before the season started, and Billy Dodds was talking about Griffiths, and I think Dodds coached him in one of his previous roles, and he knows him quite well. And it was after he'd done something wrong, and Dodds was sticking up for him, but basically he was more or less saying, this boy is thick. That's what he was saying. This boy is completely thick. He hasn't a clue. He's a simple kid. He just wants to get a ball put in front of him and go for it. And Dodds says it was actually when they were going to Iceland. It was that week. And Dodds bumped into him in the airport, and he said, he didn't even say hello. He just walked right up to me. They're playing me wide. He was gutted that Deila was playing him wide in the right, and he said, "Look, that's the type of him. He's that type of kid." He didn't even say hello. He just blurted out what was on his mind, and then he found himself bombed out of the team. So how Deila's going to manage a personality like that, I don't know if he's the patience for it. And you can see he's bringing in Tonev and he's brought in the other. He's looking for wingers and players who are going to be interchangeable along the front line. Commons, I think, is on his mind. There's been talk that he isn't happy with his contract negotiations. So to me, it's a plan B as well. If Commons goes, that there's that type of a creative player being brought in on the front line too. So he's juggling a couple of things.
But then again, I also read the thing saying recently with Deila saying he thought Griffiths was one of the best finishers ever seen, which gives me the feeling like perhaps Deila is one of those guys going like, well, I'll tell you anything. But you're not going to
Well,
find out what I'm thinking.
that's man management. Like, no, I mean that's
Yeah.
that's the
Well,
right thing to
Griffiths,
say, like.
Griffiths is one of the best finishers you've ever seen. You
I
can't
mean,
deny it.
like we said it many times. He shoots from anywhere and he won't stop.
Same as Tony Watt. You know, it's the same. And Paul brought up the point last week on last week's show about Griffith's scouting report. You know, he's that type of player. He's just that type of guy who, you know, he doesn't think the game. You know, whereas you get players who overthink and, you know, who aren't natural players, but who their mind comes into it then. But Griffiths isn't like that. You know,
I mean,
Maybe that's
Paul, what do you think?
I was just saying, Paul, like,
Thomas, Griffiths. Okay.
I think, well, first of all, I think if Griffiths gets a chance, he'll score his way into the plans because he'll always score goals in the SPL. Collins, I think, is on borrowed time. He's not going to fit into the style. I think McGregor's being groomed. I think Harper mentioned that in the thread last week. McGregor's being groomed to take over for him. There's no doubt about that. And he's the wrong side of 30. I'm hearing his contract demands are absolutely incredible. Which is why...
Paul, just sorry, Celtic Underground tweeted the other week there, would you give Chris Commons 30 grand a week in 3 years? As if that's what's going
I wouldn't
going to get that.
No, I mean, no, and for what I've heard, it's a wee bit lower than that, but it's not kicking the arsehole for that, is what he's demanded. And, you know, I mean, look, nobody on this show or listening is going to have to think about what Peter Lawwell's reaction to that would be.
Yeah.
So, you know, he'll be going, and I think he knows he's going to be going, and that's why you've seen the agent going into... I mean, the story about the West Brom thing that we all scoffed at, $7.5 million came for his agent. That was the agents firing out the first blows about, well, he could leave and all this kind of thing. So, fine, go.
I will tell you, Paul.
You know what I mean? So, I think a bit. Pookie, to me, he could go tomorrow. I wouldn't care less. Baldy, Boric are the same, could go. They're never. And a team that's wanting to play fast, one-touch football, how on earth is Amido Baldy going to fit in there? Or even Boric.
Well, he can play one-touch football, no problem, but it'll probably end up rolling it.
It's the same. But Ranger can play one-touch football, then he's got to go off.
Aye, exactly. I mean, it's just like, and if we get any money for them, all the better. But I mean, it's always early. I mean, you look at somebody like Stokes, and I know Stokes is a very Marmite kind of guy. I do like him, and some people hate him. And I mean, some of the abuse I hear him getting at games is just unbelievable. But, we're 2 games into a season, anything could happen, injuries, things like that. You never know what's going to happen with players who then suddenly get a run in the team. Because you would think that somebody, as we said before, Forrest might be ideal, but then again he pulls up. Matthews, I think, I'm getting to the end of my tether with Matthews as well, where it's just like, he seems so brittle all the time, and it's just, it's the guy on form, fit, you're great, but you're just never on form and fit. So, how long do we keep doing this thing?
Even when he's fit, Paul, if you watched him last week, he was making real bad individual errors, and you could tell because he was trying not to stretch.
He was
hitting hospital balls into Van Dijk,
On the Forest thing, I mean, Ryan Giggs will tell you. Ryan Giggs has never ran all out for the last 15 years of his career because he knew he'd run the risk of doing the hamstrings, and that's what Forrest has got to learn. You know what I mean? You've just got to learn these kind of things. To be honest,
you talk about Matthews there, borrowed time. Do you not think that for a team like Celtic, where we're only going to have so many players, what I mean is you can't have 3 players vying for one position. In fact, put Fisher into the equation, and you've got 4 right backs there if you're talking Ambrose. If this is going to be your centre half pairing, there's too many players there. Somebody's got to go. I think Matthews will probably be the one that will drop it.
Aye, you're right. I mean, somebody has to go. I mean, I would say I agree with you, Harper. I think Lustig, is the right back. But just final on the Forest thing. I mean, he's another one. He's got to really get a grip of himself, because we know about the incident, but it's still ongoing with the nightclub and that kind of thing. We know at the end of the season he picks up an injury and it's like, okay, he's got to rest that guy. And the next thing he's off to fucking Las Vegas. And you're just like, I'm sorry, but you've got one chance.
The best massages are out in Las Vegas.
I'm sure that was all about it. But you're just like, screw the fucking nut here. Do you know what I mean? I mean, if any one of us here, that was your laddie, and that's I'm injured and I can't play for Scotland. We got a day, the rest of I'm going to go to Las Vegas with my mates. Are you fucking mad? You know what I mean?
Did you in that article? We keep coming back to that article because it was such a good article.
It was a great article, very good.
The bit about Martinez. But I hadn't heard this before.
I should actually put it in the chat room. Hold on a second.
You should stop butting in. You're taking over from you with the button. Jason would probably be able to tell us this better, but the bit about Martinez saying that if he can prove any players know how to eat or sleep, he'll find them.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, Harper, there's a way of doing it. There were these fitness vests, and the vests measure when your heartbeat drops below a certain rate, so he knows you're sleeping. You know,
your wife? Could you not just slip it off and get to your wife? Like, when you slip off one of the bracelets, you get to the cops.
Like the way they measure those players, they know them inside out, so it'll be very tough to beat. But I mean, and Martinez probably said that to be cheeky. He probably did it to put a fuse under some of the rushes. Whether or not he's going to do it, I don't know.
But it sinks a seed, Marty.
Yeah, but that's
the player's head, you know what I mean?
Exactly, and it's like, and it's more about smoking out the ones who don't want to do it, because at this stage training, it'll be, who the fuck are you trying to say you're gonna measure me for whatever? Bang, he's watching for reactions to players or the ones that laugh at him. What's this shit you're talking? And he's watching to get a raise out of someone to see the reactions, and there's other ones who come over to him and say, "I'll do that, no problem, boss." So it's psychology.
Yeah. Well, listen, I want to mention one more player. I want to move on to Maribor then, and also want to noise up Legia because why not? I thought Kyle, when he came on, looked okay.
Aye. He did. He's had more energy in that game than he has in the last 2 years.
I mean, everybody else spoke to say that. Eh?
I was like, who's this guy? Is this? It looks like the Fawns is playing football.
Well, is this a guy who obviously every manager comes in and they tell everybody, right, clean slate. Everybody gets a chance. Is this a guy who's maybe, he is last chance saloon? I mean, that he's got to play his skin to even get close to bringing back in that Celtic first team. Is that a guy who's trying to grab it?
Can I be cynical?
Aye.
I'd be expected.
When's his contract up?
Oh, not for a while. He got a new one last year for 15k a week, so he's
Jesus Christ.
2017 he's on top.
My thoughts were this guy's looking busy, in case he doesn't get another contract. Well, I'll take your word for it, Paul, then, if he's going to be here for another 3 years.
I thought he looked okay. I thought he looked, but then again, I think Deila plays that pressing game. Like you mentioned, Marty, I mean, like you think he's playing a front five. I think what he wants to do is just push the other team as far up the pitch as he possibly can whenever he has the opportunity. And I think a guy like Kyle is tailor-made for that sort of thing. I mean, he's not a passer and he's not a holding midfielder.
Let's not forget a thing here, though, as well, right? Dundee United were falling apart. Kyle came on the park, and it was pretty easy for anybody coming.
I suppose it's like that time I thought he was a genius when he scored that long-range goal against Motherwell.
So did you notice? Did you notice the first thing that Kyle done when he came on was he put a massively long pass right on the feet of Berger, I think it was.
That's right. Was it on the right hand side?
Everybody in the ground just went, "Was that Kyle?"
I seen. It was a long range pass. It was from left to right, wasn't it?
Yep.
Aye, and it literally landed right on him.
Aye, it did. It was just like fucking hell, and that sort of set the tone for his performance, like
See, things like that really anger me because you're going, so where was that all this time? It's very, very frustrating.
I suppose Jesus Christ.
The TARDIS has landed again.
Mark just landed in Marty's house. So, anyway, Kyle, I thought he looked better, let's be honest there. I think there's a certain amount of variables in football players' lives in terms of interaction between the manager and stuff. And listen, like people on Twitter know this, and I've been called this a few times. I know fuck all about football, right? But doesn't stop me from having an opinion. Right? But
Sneaky jumped in and says, no.
There was no colours there, it was rap music.
Yeah, but listen, here, we can't hear all the silent majority on Twitter saying, Joe, what are you talking about?
But that's what we're saying every week.
But, I mean, I think that there's so many things amongst a football team and a manager that we don't necessarily get to see, obviously, or even understand, that could affect the players' mentality, which of course affects your abilities and affects the way you live your life and the way you do things. And I think what we're looking at, and I'm not trying to be like bombastic, we're looking at is a guy coming in going, okay, I'm gonna put in place my theories and my vision, and the people that don't fit into that are surplus to requirements. I don't think there's an attitude about Ronny Deila. I don't think there's an arrogance, and certainly not an ignorance anyway. And I think if it works, it'll be fantastic. If it falls on his face, I'll be glad they kind of seen him. I don't know, we're only two games in, but I kind of got a good warm feeling. Now, in fairness, I had that about Tony Mowbray as well, so let's not get over fucking over.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking 6 months down the line, Joe. You could go out here next week and get Waltered again, 10-0 on aggregate, and we're back to square one. And that's the thing. It's going to be, we'll have to watch who he's bringing in. We'll have to watch what way he's organising them, and it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not. We're going to have to be sitting here at Christmas time saying, well, we thought the world. You were going to talk about the Legia game. We thought the world had fallen down around itself after that, and then he pulls a result like Saturday's out of the hat.
Who knows? So that's why it's exciting. And speaking about exciting,
but we are so hamstrung, right? It's so early in the season for a new manager. I mean, if you look at Gordon Strachan, pumped out Europe, Tony Mowbray, pumped out Europe, Neil Lennon, pumped out Europe. It's just so difficult.
Just when you brought that up about Strachan, Faber, I remember that season, and you had the 2 games at the start. You remember the European games and then the 4-4. Well, and after that, Celtic were all right, but it wasn't until November, and we chinned the Huns in the League Cup. You were going, actually, how long? Maloney had got himself into the side and scored. I don't know if you can remember, he scored that goal from 90 yards.
That's right.
And it was after that match I was going, right, okay, now I can see you had the likes of Nakamura, Baruch and Zurawski coming and settling themselves down, and this is going to have to happen with this team. They're going to have a couple of months of, and the other thing that really pisses me off every year is you get the football season back at late July, August, and then you get that break in September for international football, and it's always the fucking week after the transfer deadline. And so if you remember a couple of seasons back, we brought in the likes of Miku and Lasad right at the end of the window, and then you didn't see them for weeks because everybody was away playing a fortnight worth of international football, and then it was hard to bleed them in, so it was a total waste, and it's a real problem Celtic have with their transfer policy of waiting sort of to the last minute. So at least we're trying to get bodies in now.
Yeah.
Right, so let's move on to the good stuff. Maribor, Wednesday night.
First of all, let's say all hail the Swiss. I mean, the Court of Arbitration done their job.
Last over.
Aye. I don't think there was ever any doubt that they would side with UEFA. Although I did read that it's still going to be an ongoing thing where they're still arbitrating on it. But I think at this stage, it was never going to get changed at this stage. Maribor,
arbitration, according to the guy from STV, all the arbitration now is about is looking for Legia looking for compensation.
Well, I mean, if it came out of this that the Court of Arbitration turns and says, well, UEFA, the rule's stupid, or something like that, like it shouldn't just be black and white like that, that's fair enough if they want to revisit the rules and stuff like that. But the fact that Maribor are planning to play Celtic are planning to play Maribor, I mean, you saw the assistant manager at the 2 games, no doubt the team in Kazakhstan are planning to play Liga. There was never any doubt that anything was going to get changed at the last minute like that.
Nah,
so, I mean,
that's like I said last week. Once those wheels are in motion, forget about it. See, the tickets are printed, people are ready to go. Forget about it, man. It's done. You know what I mean? The machine has moved on without you.
I mean, it's interesting. Maribor is going to be. I can't wait to see. One of the things I'm really looking forward to is just to see the team lineup on Wednesday night. I mean, is Denier?
I think I'll see Denier there definitely.
Head his way into the team. I mean, Berget going to start. I mean, what's the formation going to be?
I think Ronny Deila is the kind of guy that's going to throw whatever he wants in, whatever he thinks is going to work.
Well, obviously he's the manager, so obviously he's going to throw him whatever he fucking wants.
But you know what I mean, for fuck's sake.
I mean, Paul, what's your reading on it? I mean, Lustig was rested apparently, and then they had to go on the bench because Martin was threatening that. Lustig's going to come into the team, certainly. Is Alex going to go back to centre half? Is Denayer going to stay in the team? I mean,
it's an interesting one, though. Aye, because after the first game in Warsaw, we're kind of like, we're a wee bit too positive and all that kind of thing. But let's not forget, we've also down to 10 men for the second half, you know what I mean? So there was that. But from what I seen with the press conference post Dun United, which was, Deila seemed pretty confident that we could do something in Maribor. And it's one of the ones where, you know what, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest after everything we've been through this close season and the ups and downs of the Celtic roller coaster that we could pretty much cement our place on Wednesday in the Champions League. And that would just be like a head fuck, you know what I mean? Because we've been going on about this talk to this pre-season, but here we are, we could put one foot in the Champions League on Wednesday night. And Maribor, obviously, I mean, a pretty decent side and whatever, but you know, surely I can't overemphasise how important it is for us, the fact that we've got 2 proper league games under our belt now, and the confidence from them, and just playing the games as well. I think that'll be a huge factor on Wednesday, and I think if Deila just is a wee bit less sort of positive with his lineup, I think we could nick something over there, like.
Marty?
No, I hope you're right. Again, I fear for the system. You know, I fear for that high line. Maribor are no mugs. If I remember correctly, they went out to Seville in the Europa League last year. Who went on to win the game?
But the odd goal, I think.
Yeah, it was I think you mentioned it last week, Harper, that it was a close game. So we're here, and we've got another chance with European football till Christmas at least, no matter what. Would it be a disaster if we went out against Maribor? No. It wouldn't be, and I actually think we could be doing with dropping into the Europa League because we need to build our coefficient points back up again. They're starting to look brutal after last season. So, you know, if it happens, it happens. I'm glad. If we are to win, Mulgrew needs to come out of midfield. The defence needs to be told to stay pretty static and to let Kyle or whoever he plays in the position in front of the back four is sort of an advanced sweeper or whatever. Just say, look, keep this simple tonight. And let's see how we go in Glasgow. It's going to be a full house. The season ticket is free. The game's free on the season ticket, so there's no question there's going to be a big crowd. And why not? You know, we did it before. We did it last year. We came away with 2-0 defeat from Kazakhstan and won 3-0. You know, so we can do it. We can do it.
Marty, you sound the same as me. I've got a complete relaxation about Wednesday night because it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world probably for Deila in his first season to play in the Europa League.
But you saw how much of a difference. You saw how much of a difference it made the level.
Exactly, aye. And I mean, didn't get me wrong. Like the other side is, we spoke about this last week, how bad the team would be against Lega, and we could go and get Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, and lose 10-0 at Celtic Park, blah blah blah. And that's in the back of your mind, and you're thinking. I mean, obviously that's an exaggeration, but that's in the back of your mind. And there's a thing saying probably we'd be better off in Europa League. But at the same time, you're like, well, it's the fucking Champions League. Like, I'm one of the Champions League. So there's that side of it. But it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. So I'm actually sitting going, we're still in Europe, so whatever happens, I'm actually going to be, as long as we didn't get I would like to get Maribor. But if we went out in a close game, we played well, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. So I'm quite relaxed and I'll be happy either or. It's a weird thing. I can't put it for proper words, but I won't be devastated if we end the Europa League. Let me ask you, this would be quite funny. Imagine Legia got past the
I never thought about that.
I desperately want them in this fucking
absolutely.
Game.
By the way,
did you
see their game, their away game at the weekend?
A Friday night, right?
When the away team played the Champions League tune while they were training. I mean,
the home fans were singing Celtic Glasgow.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's their big, huge rival. There was a game there. Somebody listed off the Celtic minded the sort of role of dishonour. A few seasons, and that was the team last year where the police actually refused to police the game when that team came to Legia because they just knew there would be trouble. So that's obviously a big rivalry. There's that. I wouldn't even try to pretend to pronounce the name, like, you know, it's all J's, K's and W's, you know what I mean? But I would be interested to get them in the group. But it is really one of the weird ones where you're thinking, going, well, I'm happy either or. And it's a weird one because it's always been the Champions League's the be all and end all. But there is a certain fear about this team that they're maybe just not ready for Champions League football this season.
Yeah, but it's also like, I mean, like, tell me you're not hungry for it though.
It's the Champions League.
Exactly. I mean, so
Can I just ask you?
The
Can I ask
Champions group is like fucking Christmas Day, man. Do you know what I mean?
Can I ask you all something else? Because one thing we haven't touched on is Van Dijk and his interview last week, where he was asked, "Are you staying or are you going?" And he said, "Oh, I want Champions League football." So to me, if you get into the Champions League,
what he said is exact words as well. I want to play in the Champions League.
Yeah. So whether or not that's with Celtic is a different matter. So if we lose out tomorrow, is it a cert that he'll be off?
I think so.
I think so.
Well, is he going to go to a team playing in the Champions League? Well,
that's I mean, the thing for me, the whole thing about it is, you obviously strive for the best, don't you? You want to be. I mean, it's hard to see that when that draw comes on, Champions League. I mean, you're talking about the elite teams in world football, and you're in there, and you could be playing them. And I mean, it sounds blasé and stupid as fuck, but not only that. If we do get in there, I don't want to play Barca or Benfica or fucking Milan or Shakhtar like we always see.
Dortmund and Madrid.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Real Madrid's my ultimate, other teams, etc. But in terms of Europa, I'd be quite happy to go into it, and especially if it gave us a variety of teams, given the fact, of course, that there's some pretty damn good teams in that Europa League this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would hope that the fans would embrace it as much as the Champions League, because I think it's a fucking funny one, because it's like, why did we not perform really as well in the Europa as we have in the Champions League? And I think a lot of that's got to do with the fans. For whatever reason, the fans didn't embrace it as much, and we didn't have that 12th man when we play in the Europa League. Whereas if we go into the Champions League, no matter how good or bad the team is, the fans will raise us a level that will probably stop us getting humiliated. I think the one game I felt humiliated last season was actually when we got beat 3-0 off Milan, because I think every sales player went in that, myself included, thinking, right, we'll win this, and then Barcelona don't have anything to play for, we'll be fine. And they just wiped the flare with us, and I think the team had that mentality as well. There's so many variables in football, so many fine lines between success and failure. And if we were to get into the Champions League, I genuinely believe as well, and though it doesn't bother me the slightest, and I'm really interested in it, the money we would gain for that, I think there would need to be a serious discussion with the rest of Scottish football to say, right, what's going to happen here? Because, I'm telling you right now, right, we could easily, and I hope I'm completely wrong here, but we could easily have a really crap football team that has completely wiped the flare with two decent Scottish teams, right? And the only reason that we are sitting with confidence is because the Scottish League is so bad. And I'll be honest with you, I mean, the Hibs Hearts game yesterday was one of the worst games of football I have ever seen in my entire life. There was not a player in that would get a game for our youth team. So, there has to come a point where, how on earth are we going to ever have any competition in this league if we can continue to command 20-30 million pounds a season for the Champions League? And it goes back to what I was saying last week, where it's like we're ended up in that limbo of far too good for Scotland, no good enough for the Champions League. And I think it would have to encourage a serious debate, because we're 30 points clear last season. We've barely got to first gear this season. We've already got 6 points and a +8 goal difference. And no sign of it ever changing. Like,
we're the Godzilla of Scottish football. I mean, we're big, we're green.
We were talking about it a couple of days ago, and we were saying about the green shoots of recovery, where you have teams like Dundee United, St Johnstone, St Mirren posting profits for the first time in a decade, and you're going, well, everybody has to start somewhere, and the Celtic situation isn't really going to affect it at all, and except for the crowds that we bring, but if the likes of Dundee United got their debt wiped out, and they still sold the likes of gold and whatever else, it's making the most of what you have, and they don't look much different from last year. All right, they got wiped out by us, but they'll be all right in the next couple of games. They'll be back, and then they'll probably be, top 3, Motherwell seem a bit rough this year. So you're sort of going, well, at least the likes of Hearts and Hibs have gone down and taken their medicine. Hearts in particular, and they've got a new owner and they're stable. When they come back up, you're hoping that the league can sort of arrest itself. And maybe those couple of years, if Hearts or Hibs are down below, that happened to them last time. Their crowds came back because they had a chance of landing something. The fact that they were going to win the first division, and not the Premier League, obviously it's a bit different, but there are green shoots to the recovery. Whether or not Celtic get out of Scotland, I do. People just don't have the fucking imagination to make it happen. They don't. I mean, they weren't 5-6 years ago. They should have been talking about synchronising the League Cups. They just didn't do it. It was all sort of blather, but nothing ever came of it. And we were ruled by pygmies. The likes of Doncaster and Regan, and they want to justify their jobs. They're set targets by their boards that they want to hit, and they don't give a shit beyond that. They don't care about football.
Here's a tweet I just got, which is actually something that I've never thought about and it's interesting, and it affects, probably more you, Paul, than the rest of us. Budgie says, Europa equals Sundays for league games till Christmas. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Champions League, so as long as we don't embarrass ourselves. This is a good point. Joe, we've been looking at our club, St Lawrence's, try to organise a trip, and we just can't book a trip because we don't know where we're going to be playing yet. We don't know whether we're playing Saturdays, we don't know whether we're playing Sundays, early kickoffs and stuff like that. So a lot hinges, when we're playing league games on these next 2 games in Europe. That's an interesting point.
But that's one way of looking at it for one season, Harper. But if you have a Europa League season, it helps you not having to play 3 fucking Champions League qualifiers, or 2 Champions League qualifiers. It's if you lift the coefficient up, you're into the Champions route, which is good, but your ideal position is to get directly into the groups if you win your league. And Celtic proved not that long ago that we could do that. But it's not going to happen if we keep getting into the Champions League, getting cuffed and starting our league in early July, or starting back early July. It's crazy. We could really be doing with one good, really, really good season in the Europa League just to lift the whole thing up.
And there is that thing that Paul mentioned that you'd be playing, it would be new teams, a new experience. Yeah. Because I am sick of looking at Barcelona.
Me too.
Imagine us sitting here in the late 90s going, these bastards,
Sick of looking at Barcelona.
This was if you had a pre-season friendly with United, you thought it was fucking, till Christmas it came early.
Especially the stage with Barcelona, where it's like a fucking student exchange program, man.
You're looking for digs.
I don't know. It's an interesting one, but I've got a kind of quiet confidence about this Maribor tie. I think the Legia games probably just came too early for this team, and it seems ridiculous when you're only talking about a week ago or 2 weeks ago or whatever it was. I just think the 2 victories in the league were important. Players coming in gives everybody a lift, and I'm going to say this saying I've never seen Maribor play since they beat the Huns in 2011 or whatever it was, right? I know they won their treble. I don't know nothing about Slovenian football, but I've got a quiet confidence about this tie. I really do. I don't know.
I'm just glad to see another European game happening so quickly and worth so much money. I'm actually just kind of fuzzy in the stomach. I mean, that could be my wife's cooking. Who knows?
See, on the Sunday thing, I mean, that honestly doesn't bother. I mean, you take the Seville season. I mean, it was fucking unbelievable. Thursday night, it was like a constant long weekend every time Celtic were playing. You know what I mean? It was like you're playing Thursday, playing Sunday. As long as they get sensible and make, for example, home games would be at 3 o'clock so that people would actually have a chance to go and all that kind of thing. But it's just, I'm so used to the Sunday games anyway. I mean, virtually all our away games are always Sundays and things like that. And it's not so much the day that bothers me, it's the time of day that bothers me. This fucking nonsense they playing up in Inverness at 12:30 and Dundee at 12:30. It's just like, how do you understand people have to actually get to these games? And but of course, everything's dictated by TV, and everything's done for people who watch the TV. So it's just a modern football thing, isn't it?
Okay, well, I'm not going to ask for predictions because I don't think it's possible to even predict what's going to happen. Because I mean, we're literally, I think we're sitting in result limbo at the minute because I didn't see 6-1 on Saturday. I didn't see 3-0 against Johnson because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know who's going to play. I don't know who's good, who's bad. I don't know whose position doesn't suit him anymore. I'm kind of a bit like, but
what you're hoping for, Joe, is that we scouted Maribor as well as they scouted us because they had your man, the assistant manager, was at both our games this week. You know,
it looked like somebody stole his seat on Saturday. You see that?
So he was standing there.
He was standing in the stairway, and somebody was talking to him, going,
"Good,
what are you doing?" And he's like holding his folder, going, "I don't know, somebody took my seat." I think.
But yeah, that's all you're hoping. You're hoping for whoever from the scouting department has been out this week having a look. Maribor got murdered, I think, on Saturday, but apparently they put out a ghost team, so you know they're going to be an unknown quantity, I feel.
But then again, so are we.
Well, not to them, because they've scouted us twice this week. This is my point. That guy was there. He saw how bad we were on Wednesday night, and he saw how good we were on Saturday with broadly the same players. So I think they're going to know what they expect.
I've been again, Marty. I've watched both those games, and I still don't know what to expect. I mean,
well, fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, they're home. They're at home. You know, so it's the ball's in their court on Wednesday. They get a result at home. You know.
Yeah. So I think we're closing. We're coming to the end of this here, I suppose.
I've got a few things still.
Go ahead.
Obviously, our ongoing raffle.
Oh, why?
For MAP, medical aid for Palestine. I don't know if disappointing is the right word, but we've still got plenty of raffle tickets, put that way, right? Everybody listen to this. Go to hailhailmedia.com. You see they've got the big rectangular banner at the top. There's 3 interchangeable things, right? Click on the MAP banner. It'll take you to a wee blog about the raffle and buy a ticket. It's a tenner. Right?
And MAP
listen, just you shut up for a minute, right? I can get another ice bucket or something.
I will. I'll go get a nurse of my ice.
It's a charity. It's very, very important to us here at HomeBhoys, right, in Hail Media. Now, as we say this all the time, right? If you're listening to this, you're getting hours and hours and hours I'll say entertainment.
Appreciate
we even added another podcast there last week. I have to give the boys a shout. It was actually a very good debut for the Smell of the Glove podcast. Paulie D and Dr. J. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So that's going to be something new. And we've got another new podcast. I won't know if I mentioned it first, but we've got another one coming up. We're going to be making a debut on Hail Media soon. So if you listen to the podcast and you download them, it's going to cost you a tenner to buy a raffle ticket. HomeBhoys67@gmail.com is the PayPal address. Just send a tenner, friends and family, and you'll be put in the raffle. Now, I got a message there for Jason earlier. Obviously, Jason is the force behind this raffle, and we said we'd be adding prizes, and we have added a prize this week. Thanks to the Kano Foundation, I've actually donated a signed, match-worn football boot, framed. So I think it's in a glass case or something. It's a framed boot for Anthony Stokes.
Class.
Signed, match-worn. So that's something to add to the prizes. I mean, if you've not went on and had a look at it, go and look at the blogs I say, hailhailmedia.com, find the advert, click on it, and then see the link for the Celtic canvas art. I mean, that prize there is phenomenal. If you look at the stuff, the wall murals and everything, unbelievable. We've got the 2 Celtic Australia jerseys that we're going to be getting signed by numerous celebrities, if you like, famous people. We've got them. We've got the John Higgins signed snooker cue, and now we've added the football bit for Anthony Stokes. And hopefully we'll keep adding prizes, but just go in there, get yourself a ticket. It's a tenner. It's going to a great cause, and you'd be doing us a favour. We sit here, and of course we enjoy it and that, but there's a lot of effort involved at times for people. All we're asking is a few times through a season to support us, and this is one of these times. We're just wanting to give us a tenner. It's a tenner.
Spend a tenner. I mean, and remember, 90% of this money is going to help for medical aid in Palestine. That's what it's for.
And as we say, as everybody who buys a raffle ticket, you're going to get 2 books sent to you, digital. Paul's novel, The Last Pearl Diver, which is excellent, and the Talking to the Lost Boys book that was never released. You'll get that as well eventually. We're not sending them tomorrow night, but you'll get that, which is worth over a tenner in itself. So please support us. I'm begging you.
Please. Yeah, I mean, go on. I'll put the link in the show notes and put the link in the chat room there now.
Just another thing I wanted to say. The Kano Foundation donated that football book to Andy Stokes. They had their bucket collection at the weekend. And I don't know if you know, but Marty, they had a fantastic response, as they always do for the Celtic support. And the total raised was £7,300 and change, which to me is just...
That's incredible.
That is incredible, man.
Yeah, fantastic.
That's amazing.
Right.
I've got a couple of hicks here as well. Chaz Duffy had asked me, which was on Saturday. There's the 7th annual charity tournament in New York. It's hosted by the Downtown United Soccer Club, and the various local Celtic sports clubs are taking part and competing in it. If you want information on that, you want to go down and support the boys, you go to www.dusc.net, and it's always a good day down there, and the Celtic guys are always very successful. They've won it a few times. And also, the Bronx boys have now got a new location. It's Ireland's 32 pub in McLean Avenue. They went through a tough time last season, but the boys are back. All Celtic spirits moved up again, and they're encouraging new members. It's $100 membership that gets you all the games for the entire season. And if you go to Ireland's 32, there's at least Chaz Duffy and Brockwick Vale buy you a drink. So I mean, you can't really ask for more than that. Like,
well, I spent a whole day with Brockwick Vale. Never bought me a fucking drink yet.
Where's whereabouts in McLean is the Ireland's 32, Paul?
It's brand new. Well, it's not brand new, but it's newish though. So I'm not actually 100% sure exactly where it is, but I'm sure Chaz will let you know. But I know that they were having ongoing problems with the previous place, and the club was suffering because of it. And
I know that neighbourhood has changed an awful lot from when I lived there.
Anyway. Yeah. So the boys are. There was a meeting held a few weeks ago, and they're back, and all the games are going to be shown there. They've got the full backing of the club, and it's a fantastic club. It really is a fantastic club. I mean, it's not in Manhattan, so it kind of gets ignored by tourists and so on. But I mean, you go to Grand Central Station, you get the train to Woodlawn, and you're in McLean Avenue, as you know, Joe, in 5-10 minutes.
5 minutes,
and a welcome guaranteed by all the boys there too.
I said many times, I used to on the early Sunday morning games or Saturday morning games, I'd be working late at night in the city, and I'd arrive at 7 in the morning, clearly half juiced as I was there. You know what I mean? But it was always a good welcome, and it was always great fun, and the bar was always open, and there was always Tim's there.
Oh, aye. I mean, the guys. I mean, they're constantly raising money for charity. They're always in Vegas. They're always supporting everything they do. They're hosting a show to the Astra skiers next year, which I'm really looking forward to. So if you're ever in New York, go and see them, because I'm telling you now, you might hear the Bronx and you think, oh God, I'm not going there, whatever. Listen, it's Ireland's 32 and Woodlawn's like the 33rd county. Get your ass up there on the train, and it'll be an experience you never forget.
Put it this way, right? Chaz just told me there now that it's above Roy Dolan's, which is next door to where I used to live.
Right.
Nice one.
So, listen, get your arse over there. And by the way, if you think the Bronx is a kind of like a wilderness for people, that's where New York GAA play. And that's where other GAA teams go to play in New York. They go over to Riverdale to play in Gilly Park. So a
place I know well.
Exactly. So the Bronx is. I've lived in every single borough of New York apart from Staten Island, and the Bronx was always a place that felt like home. I lived in Brooklyn, lived in Queens, stayed in Manhattan for a while, and but the Bronx always felt like a community.
Yeah. You'll get your Bottlesy Iron Brew there, your Bottlesy Buckfast there. I mean, it's got all the home comforts.
Directly across the road from our bungalow was a place called Tesco Ireland, run by 2 boys from Yemen.
Yeah. I'll tell you a story about the Bronx when I was a kid. It always stuck with me. I can't remember the name of the street, but the overhead railway would come out of the subway and it used to go overhead, and used to stop at this street, whatever it was, and used to hop on there. We used to go up to Van Garderen Park, and you'd to wait there for the bus to take you then on up through the Bronx. And there was a guy, he was a bum, homeless guy in a duffel coat, and he was down there along the crowd at the bus stop looking for money, and everybody turned their back on him. And when my dad got up, when he got up to me and my dad, he tripped. He actually fell over somebody's foot, and he turned to the guy and he said, "Sorry." And my dad realised he was Irish. My dad called him over and he says, "What's your crack?" And he was giving him a couple of pounds. The guy went away over to the liquor store across the road and came back with the law there is you have to have the bottle in the bag, in the brown bag. So it's the first time I'd ever seen that. And the guy opened the bottle and he said to my dad, "I want you to take the first drink." My dad says, "Fuck's sake, raise up to yourself. Take that." And they got chatting and he says, why don't you go home? Jesus Christ, go home. And he says, "I can't." He says, "My family think I'm out here doing well. And look at me, I'm a bum." And I often think about him. When anybody talks about that end of the Bronx, it's very, very sad. How Irish people go over there and make it, but some fall through the cracks too.
That's the thing. I mean, listen, it's like watching Facebook, Marty. Everybody's expat photographs look like they're having a fucking ball, but there's always a darkness to not being home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. But a wonderful part of the world, full of good people too.
Absolutely.
Just on clubs that have relocated, I was asked to mention this actually last week, and I forgot. The Neve Podrick club in Dublin. So this, I often get asked because we live in Ireland, Joe. People that are Celtic fans obviously travel to Dublin all the time. Where can I go and watch the game? And,
me too, aye.
They
were in Quins.
They've moved. So Neve Podrick are actually now in the Badass Cafe in Temple Bar.
Oh, I know what that is. Aye.
So
really?
Temple Bar is very easy to find. If you're coming here to Dublin on holiday, you're going to be going to Temple Bar anyway. So the Badass Cafe is now the home.
I gotta say, the Badass Cafe is a pretty trendy spot.
Aye, they've also got I don't know if they say it here, a drinks reduction for
that's right.
It's fantastic.
That's right.
Aye. And they're also going to be showing the Asterisk here there as well. So
it is. As you say, Paul, you get a pint of Guinness for $4.50 or something. Aye. Pint of lager for $4.30 or something. People might hear that and think that's strange, but if you're in Temple Bar, you can pay $7 or $8 with a pint.
€7 or €8 a pint, not a problem.
Right.
I mean, round the corner.
That's the Neve Podrick there and there anyway. And if anybody's in this area, Joe, of course, Drogheda, St Lawrence's CSC, Marty, you made a trip.
I have made the pilgrimage, Mr. Harper. Yes,
yeah.
great day out.
Yeah. So come and see us in Sarsfields.
So we got 8 minutes left. We'll finish it off with one good thing, one bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So who wants to go first? Harper, you're the brainchild of this initiation. So one good thing, one bad thing.
One good thing for me has been, since last Monday anyway, in the week that is, one good thing has been my spirits being completely lifted by the direction the football operations are going, certainly. I've put the gloomy last week behind me. Ronny Deila, obviously the results help, but seeing a few players coming in, seeing the philosophy of Ronny Deila in print, obviously we keep relating back to the article. If anybody's never seen it, go look up the Scotsman's website. And that has been a big positive for me in the last few days. And it's all good going forward. I honestly believe that. I really do. It's amazing how 7 days completely changes your attitude. And that was even after Wednesday wasn't a great display. I just feel there's something about this Ronny Deila regime. In fact, I'll call it the Ronny Deila, John Collins regime. I think he's going to be just as important.
What about the dilemma? No, fuck no.
What about the denier? I'm wanting to cooperate on that, by the way. Denied. You know what I mean? She come up. Every time it was a tackle, right? She come up the big fucking screen.
Denied.
A big red hand, but maybe that'll not work. Denied. Anyway, but no, that's my good thing. Ronny Deila's got me. He's got me believing again.
That's your good thing, okay? Right, Paul.
Good thing is on Saturday, Tom Boyd was on the pitch at half time. He done a wonderful speech about Paul McStay, which I honestly was almost in tears about. Just the way he talked about him. You know, he talked about how Paul had to carry the club on his shoulders, and you know the joy and the emotion of winning that cup in '95. And he said he just remembers watching him walk up these steps, and it took me right back to Hampden. And I remember watching Paul walking up these steps, and I was bursting out and crying. Then I could feel it myself, and it reminded me what a legend Tom Boyd is, and what a great ambassador for the club he is. But also, it just reminded me as well what a genius the maestro was. So that was my one good thing.
One bad thing?
One bad thing would be...
No, good thing.
No, Joe. Oh, no.
We'll come back around to bad things.
I didn't know it. I still want to be Paul McStay. When I was a kid, I wanted
You're
to be Paul
hopeless,
McStay.
Joe.
What?
You're hopeless. Good things round the table first, then bad things.
Here, listen, like I said, you invented this. Why the fuck am I hosting? You know what I mean? Marty.
Right, my good thing was Anthony Stokes. Even that miserable fucker, Hugh Keevans, giving big licks on Saturday. I thought he was fantastic. Lovely set pieces, and he worked his socks off, and he had been in for, as I think it was Paul said earlier on too, he'd been in for a lot of criticism recently, so it was good to see. Stokes to me is sort of an above average SPL player. He's never going to be a world beater, but you know, he did the business. And as well, just as you said, Legia going out again was fantastic a couple of days ago. It was absolutely hilarious.
My good thing, probably my confidence in Ronny Deila this week after Dundee United, and just kind of watching his interviews and watching him talk and reading about him and what he's saying, and kind of trying to get inside his philosophy and figure out what his plan is for Celtic. And I feel assured that he's got the right, that whatever it is he's trying to do, he's going to see it through, and he's going to do it as best as he can. And I like that. You know, I feel like it's there's a purpose to the season going forward because he's in charge. And I don't mean like he's going to be a massive success or whatever. I just mean that I'm very I'm confident and I'm calm. You know what I mean? I'm not as worried as I was last week. You know what I mean? But I'm feeling good. I like it. No, it's a good feeling to be comfortable.
So basically, you're just repeating everything I said.
I tell him whoop-de-doo, I want to be like you. Anyway, right then, back to you, ball bag. Bad thing.
Bad thing, right? This got to sound really trivial, right? But I'm going to read you a tweet for Paddy Power, right? Paddy Power tweeted this afternoon, right? Court of Arbitration rejects Legia Warsaw appeal, which clears the way for Celtic to be knocked out in the next round of the Champions League. Now, my bad thing isn't that tweet. My bad thing is the reaction to that tweet. Celtic Twitter went up. Just hang on a minute. Celtic Twitter went up my arms and that, and I'm like, talking about boycott, Paddy Power and every blah blah. When did we stop being able to have a bit of a fucking laugh here? So I mean, it's a tongue-in-cheek fucking tweet. It's Paddy Power. It's what they do. They treat everybody the same. They grab all these wee opportunities. They make it. They publicise themselves. As you said, Joe, we talked about the thing. They do it very well. And my bad thing is Celtic fans just sometimes just have a laugh. Just go with it, man. Then they throw the prams out. Then they throw the toys at the pram at every fucking opportunity. Calm down, boys. Just a bit of a laugh. Now, they had the tweet obviously about Billy McNeil last year in the Champions League draw, which was out of order, and I think they even know themselves they kind of slipped up there. They fucked up, right? You know what I mean? But come on, it's football. So I mean, I thought it was quite funny when I read it. If it was another team, I would have thought it was funny. Let's not just be fucking precious and everything. That's my bad thing.
All right.
It might be untrivial, but there you go. There's not been that many bad things this week, so I have to find something. So.
Marty?
My bad thing is James Forrest. I think his tease out. You know, it's very disappointing to see it break down again in training. And if a miracle doesn't happen, I think we might have seen the last of him. You know, it's a real shame for the boy because I think if you read earlier, he could fit in the Deila system really well, but I don't think it's going to happen for him.
No, I just follow up at them because that's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, I just feel for the guy because you can see there's talent there and there's ability. Absolutely, I mean, without a doubt, everybody can see that. But I mean, is it going to happen for him? I don't know. I mean, are we looking at even a more fragile Paddy McCourt only with fitness on his side? I don't know. It's Cat. I mean, I suppose it's the fickle bitch the football is. I mean, when it comes to fitness, it comes to your capabilities and your abilities. It's sad, and I could see that he knows. I mean, obviously he's going to be positive in his own respect towards where he can get to and what he can be on his road back. But I can tell that there's you can tell and I can tell. I mean, that it's not looking good. But then again, stranger things have happened. But best of luck to James Forrest. I mean, Paul?
Well, last week I mentioned that Celtic had basically gave the same catering contract to the same company that basically take over, and unbelievable to think that it couldn't get worse. It was a lot worse. The stuff is even more expensive. The choice is even worse, and the queues were just unbelievable. You couldn't get served, nobody could get served, anything at all. And I saw Frank Rafters from Ailey's Boys put about a tweet, and I would advise anybody to look at Ailey's Boys just to see the experience people had, because it was absolutely shocking, and Celtic have really let down the fans on this. I asked Celtic about it, and they basically said it would have cost us money to bring it in-house, that's why we never done it. So that's my one bad thing.
So all the feedback that we had an entire show dedicated to the pies one time, all of that has been taken on board, clearly.
Yeah, I mean, the guy I was dealing with, the guy David Stollers, I mean, he seems a pretty decent guy.
Yeah,
and he's very approachable and that. But it's clearly from above, I've just said, the minute they heard it's going to cost us money to make the catering facility their own, they just went, fuck that, put it to tender.
But again, I suppose that's a long-term thing, long-term bad thing for us, I mean.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when, with the way the area's gone, Joe, the East End, they're going to have much more competition. For the catering pound, and they're going to lose it with the shite that they're putting up. Especially, I mean, you are talking at Celtic Park now cinema prices for food. I mean, you can't expect to pay, for a drink and a hot dog, £7-8 at a cinema. You didn't expect to pay that at a fucking football match in Scotland, especially in the East End of Glasgow, for Christ's sake.
And the thing is, as well, you walk around the corner, you go up towards the Five Ways, you can get a curry sausages with chips for what, £2?
There's a massive Tesco half a mile across the road, Joe. You can get a full breakfast for about £3.50.
There you go. I mean,
by the way, Joe, that pub's called the Straw House.
Oh, depends on who you are, I suppose.
The Five Ways.
It's got a big fucking sign that says, no?
But it doesn't matter, it's the Straw House.
All right. I apologise to anybody who agrees with you.
A quick funny story about the Straw House then, right? A friend of ours, Joe knows this story anyway, but a friend of ours, Barry Rennick.
Is this
a fucking madman, like, no? Were you ever in the Straw House, Marty?
No, never. Oh, its fame goes before it.
Right, yeah, it's got a big massive, Paul, you've definitely been in it, it's got a big massive bit through the back, right? So we're in this is years ago, like, I was still in Scotland at the time, and we're in there, and the singing starts and blah, blah, and everybody joins in. So mate Rennick stands up on a stool and he just starts chanting 12, 11, 72, 12. Next thing, the whole fucking place is joining in. The whole place is, I'm talking about hundreds of people chanting 12, 11, 72. That's just the fuck's that, man? It's my birthday, man. Just one of the things where nobody knows what's going on, but they'll fucking join in anyway. Like, that's my birthday, man.
I tell that story all the time.
Brilliant.
Okay, brilliant. It's my birthday.
Happy birthday, Malcolm.
Oh, man. That's us done, I think. Finished another 2 hours HomeBhoys podcast. Whether it was good or not, it's up to the listener, I suppose.
Buy a raffle ticket.
Buy a raffle ticket. It's £10, right? Go on PayPal. If you haven't got PayPal, we'll arrange for somebody to meet you in a pub and take your money off you. Probably take more than your money off you. Who knows? Maybe a watch, maybe a chain.
Jason could meet them in a curry house.
Absolutely. On a Monday night.
Jason will meet you in a curry house or a Goodson.
It was nice being the surrogate Jason tonight.
That's it, aye. You were the surrogate Jason.
I'm off the bench.
Anyway,
It's a bit like Ronny Deila. I don't know if Jason figures into the plans going forward. Do I like that? Those signings, no?
Myself.
Hey, folks, listen. Thanks very much for listening. As usual, it's been great. Maribor Wednesday night. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, put your hand in. Lucky dip, I think. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? It's the Ronny Dilemma. Oh, I'm never going to get that.
No.
Exactly, Paul. You know. Here, Marty, you know. The lyrical demon. Denied.
I'll have to tell that story the next time I'm on, Joe.
Marty, that'll be the last time you're on. So, folks, we're done. We will see you next Monday. Well, see you, talk to you, I suppose, or whatever day you listen to this. Who knows? So, our guest celebrity, Marcin.
God bless you, man. Paul, lovely being on the line.
Paul Larkin, Green White Raider.
Well, yeah, man, what about me? Like, you know,
I've been on with you before. I've been on with Joe before. This is my first time on with Paul. Jesus, Harper, don't be so precious.
I know, he's amazing, isn't he?
Harper, you just asked everybody else to be precious.
I love you too, Harper. I love you too.
Don't be a hero.
Said you were my dicky man, something happened.
Where's the visual? Harper, you want to say goodnight then?
Good night then.
Paul Larkin.
Good night, God bless.
Folks, who knows what's going to happen? A brand new season in Celtic. Sure, the uncertainty is part of the thrill. Good luck. Hail, hail. And here we go. We're going to play with some Champions League music because that's all we deserve.